Hey guys, thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to continue from my last video where I discussed all of the gear, talents and items that I use for my Scarlet Monastery pools. So if you haven't seen that, I recommend going to check that out first. You'll have a better understanding then. Anyway, as promised, I'll be showing you the exact pool path that I use, explaining each thing along the way on how to do it. You see, after numerous successions of doing this, I've essentially managed to find the most efficient way of doing it. Not only that, but in my opinion, this is the best way to make gold as a paladin. You can make huge amounts by doing this. So for the cathedral, it's broken down into 4 distinct pools. A whole run from start to finish will usually last anywhere from 9 to 14 minutes, depending on the group composition. As a rule of thumb, I will always have 1 AoE DPS, 1 healer. The other 2 spots, it can be anything. Now, the most effective group that I've found is 2 healers and 2 AoE DPS. But it's not essential because even with the 9-minute runs, you will hit lockout. So going at a slightly slower pace is good. I also will take regular breaks at 30-minute intervals. This is for a few reasons. Number 1, it's because of the lockout. By resetting and re-entering after the 3rd run, then running to the vendor, you will never hit lockout. Number 2, after 3 runs, which is usually around the 30-minute mark, if you have 16 slot bags, you will have a full inventory. And number 3, I like to stand up and walk about because, let's face it, I'm getting old. Okay, finally, before I show you the run, let me explain the loot rules. In order for me to make my runs free for everyone, and yes, you heard that right, I do not make anybody pay for my runs. I have to tell them that I take all of the loot, unless of course they need a boss drop or agreeing for an upgrade. That way, the trade-off is I get a decent amount of gold, they get amazing experience. Alright, also before I even start, I explain to them all of the loot rules and I explain what I'm going to be doing. For that, I have a macro, as you can see here. The reason is so obviously there is no confusion and it makes the runs a lot smoother. Okay, firstly, as always, get all of your buffs sorted. Now, as I'm pulling, they are waiting at the entrance for me to call with the macro. This is known as safe spot number 1. This is the first pull and there's no need for heals here as there aren't that many mobs. As you can see, I only pulled to the end of the hall before we get into the yard. Once at the end, I'll call the macro and they run in and AoE them down. Once that's done, it's time for the real pulls to begin. So now we are here, I'll tell them to wait there, just a little bit back from the entrance to the yard. This is known as safe spot number 2. That's because I'll be gathering them up and bringing the mobs back to the group. So I start by running out the door, going forward, then taking a right. Keep in mind, as you can see, I'm using Judgment of Light and making use of the hammer. This is because I'm grabbing the mobs from range, helping reduce the amount of steps that I have to take, keeping me alive for a little bit longer. From there, I'll run over to the water and go diagonal to the next set of stairs.
I can't cast that.
From there, it's just a case of gathering the final few mobs back and head back to the group.
I'm out. It's too far away.
Once I'm near the door, I'll pop the bubble and heal myself to full again. Finally, we just run inside, get the line of sighted from the casters, then I'll lay down my consecration, spam the macro signaling for the group to move in and do the thing. And that's it for pool number 2.
I can't loot that.
Moving up now, and this is called safe spot number 3. They will wait here for the next pull. Now, before each pull, if we have a priest or a druid as a healer, I'll have them put their heal over times on me, or if it's a priest, I'll get them to bubble me. This is just because it makes it easier for me to make the pulls. Also keep in mind, I'm constantly using Seal of Light and hitting every mob that I can. The reason for this is because it just gives me a little bit more HP back every time I make a hit on a mob. So once at the end of this hallway, I'll run and grab those mobs there, then head down towards the centre. Then back to the main doors, grabbing those mobs here. And take a look. As mentioned in my last video, I made use of a swiftness potion here. Although it didn't make the best use of it by running side to side, you can clearly see how much distance you can make between them, so it can come in handy. Usually by this point I'm pretty low on HP as well. In some cases I end up using a potion, but thanks to the swiftness potion I'm still quite high on HP. Now once at the end here, I'll pop my second bubble and heal up. Usually, I like to run down to the edge of this waterfall and AoE them down until my health is really low. Then, I'll jump down like so, giving myself a couple more heals. Line of sight them and then go in for the AoE. Once that's down, I'll call macro and we finish them up nice and easy. Now that's the end of pull number 3.
I can't loot that.
Moving on to the final pull now. As we're getting mana back up and rebuffing, I'll usually have someone open the door for me. Take note of where we are here. This is the 4th and final safe spot. Have them all wait here until it's time for them to AoE and heal. Once mana is full and my bubble is ready, it's time to go. So I'll run right in and go for the boss. Doing this aggroes the entire building, so you will need to run as fast as you can or you'll probably die.
They must be purified!
So I'll usually run just outside to here and pop my bubble to heal myself to full. And now watch how I do it. I'll cast bubble, then heal twice, cast judgment, reseal, then drop my consecration. After that, there's usually 2 or 3 seconds left, at which point I'll call macro and they run in. If you have one healer here, it's important for the mages to be able to slow them so you can kite them back. But if you've got two healers though, you can just stand there and face roll it. So continually kiting, slowly dropping down your AoEs, after a few seconds they'll eventually all die.
I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready.
Arise, my champion.
At your side,
I
milady.
can't cast that yet.
Now as for the bosses, I like to pull them back like this. That's because when they die, it's easier to loot them in case people need the items.
I can't loot that.
And that's basically it. That's how I'm able to do the cathedral in 4 simple easy pulls and manage it in under 10 minutes. The gold from this is nice too. From pure vendor and everything, you'll gain 40 gold an hour. That's at the worst case scenario too. If you can find someone to disenchant both the blue items from the bosses, then that number can go all the way up to 80 gold an hour. Unfortunately though, you can't do that now as shard prices have dropped from 4 gold each down to around 2 gold. But that's still 60 gold an hour, and for a paladin that's not half bad at all. And that's not even the end of it. Of course you'll run into a lot of BOE blues, usually around one every 3 to 6 runs, and occasionally after 100 runs or so you find a BOE epic, increasing this amount of gold even further. But that's it for today everyone. I hope that you've got all the info that you need and you can go out and make a crap ton of gold yourself now. Also, if you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified when I release new videos. If you liked today's video as well, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to comment and share with your friends. But until the next time everyone, see ya.